Hey all, welcome to this episode of, it's number 86 of the Unsecurity Podcast. For those of you who are new to the show, I'm your host, Evan Francine, and the date is June 29th, 2020. We're a good 100-ish days into the COVID pandemic here in the States, so it's easy to lose track of the date. At least for me it is. All right, joining me this morning is my good friend and colleague. I called you a good friend and colleague, Mr. Brad Nye. Good morning, Brad.
Good morning, Evan. Yeah, I'm with you. My kids make fun of me because I'm like, what day is it today? Like, what day of the week is it?
Right. And so, my original show note said, my brother from another mother, but I don't know if that offends people now. Does that offend people, do you think?
I don't know. Doesn't offend me. I don't know, though.
I don't know. We're in this cancel culture. I don't even know what to say anymore. All right. So anyway, we're on our third week of the Women in Security series. And I am super excited for this guest, to welcome our guest, Victoria Fogarty. Victoria works here at FRSecure and is an all-around awesome person. I say that with all sincerity. Join me in welcoming Victoria. Welcome, Victoria.
Hey, thanks.
It's good to see you. This is the first time I've seen you in your home office.
I would say it's more of my home living room / kitchen / office. It's everything because we live in a 1-bedroom apartment. So, it is what it is. But this is the first time I've seen you in ages. So I don't think I've seen you pre-COVID.
So I didn't have a beard then.
Then I didn't even see you pre-COVID because I don't remember. I don't remember no beard. You always have a beard, so.
Yeah, well, at least since, was it November of 2018?
Yeah.
Is when I got lazy and decided I wasn't going to shave anymore. So anyway, so every time I've talked with you, Victoria, you got a lot of energy, great attitude. So that'll be fun to talk to you in a little bit. But first, before we do that kind of stuff, before we jump into all the business things, we check in quick. So what's up? What's up with you guys? Brad, we'll start with you. How you doing? What you been up to?
Good. I picked up I got hooked up with a half a hog for a really good price. So I picked that up from the processor on Friday, and I'm so excited. And then it stormed, so I didn't get to do anything this weekend with it, but I think I'm gonna smoke some brats this afternoon, evening.
Dang.
Fresh brats.
So that was Sunday. What about Saturday?
Just stuff around the house.
See if I guessed right. What did I say in our show notes? Did you get
Outside?
outside?
Yeah. I didn't get to barbecue. I was planning on it, but it didn't work out. Mowed the yard, did some stuff.
Okay. That's cool. How about you, Victoria?
What did we do? We now that we're in COVID times, I don't do a lot. We do our walks to get outside, go to local coffee shop, maybe do some reading, trying to educate myself beyond security and beyond, the gossip columns.
Wait a second. There's something beyond security?
Sometimes there is. But my husband has to point that out to me. So, if it wasn't from him, I just think everything's security all the time. And then what else did we do? Oh, made some killer barbacoa, I have to say.
Nice.
So,
When do you get to come back into the office again?
Well, when we'll talk about that offline.
I'd like some barbacoa.
Oh, for the barbacoa? You just want barbacoa? That's the only reason you want to see me? Oh, well, okay. I could just drop it off.
Not the only reason. It's just, it was the one that put it over the top.
Fair enough. Yeah. We can exchange. Brad can bring in his smoked pork and anything else that he's smoking, and then I'll trade in some barbacoa. How's that?
Nice. I love it.
Yeah.
Well, that's good. So, my weekend was crazy. I had Thursday night during the shit show, I got kidney stones.
Oh.
Yeah. So I stopped. I'm like, all right, guys. Brad, Ryan, you're the host now. I gotta go. So yeah, so there was that. And then I decided this weekend that I don't know why, I think it's just, I just do stupid stuff, that I was going to quit energy drinks.
Probably a good idea.
Yeah.
That
But
didn't help.
doing that during, the kidney stone thing, I had some serious like caffeine withdrawals. Like I drink like a lot of caffeine and I stopped and that hurt. So
Yeah, maybe you should have tapered it, but
yeah, but I'm an all or nothing kind of guy, man. It's like, there's no tapering. I just don't do that.
So what were your symptoms coming off the caffeine? So cold turkey, so to speak. Like, did you have the headaches, the shakes? But then how did you know that wasn't the kidney stones versus the caffeine?
I didn't. I didn't know what the hell was going on. Everything was crazy. So Saturday was like, yeah, I don't know. It was pain, shakes, no energy. I was supposed to be working on the deck this weekend. Excuse me. Marlis was out of town, my wife. So yeah, I didn't do that. And then Joe and Danielle just showed up at my house on Saturday. And I don't think I was very welcoming because I looked at them like, you got to go. I got to go to bed. And it was like 2:00 in the afternoon. But they stayed. They didn't take the hint. So then I went to the coffee shop and decided to get a coffee just to maybe take the edge off a little bit. And that seemed to work. And then Tony Allsleeman, you know Tony?
Mm-mm.
He's the CISO at, you will get to know Tony. That's another story. He's the CISO at Centricare.
Oh, okay.
And he reached out to me on Friday to give, he wants to collaborate on the vCISO stuff. So he wants your name. But he just showed up at my house and I'm like, what the hell is going on? Like everybody's coming over and I'm like dying. And then Bobby and Rachel showed up too. I never get any visitors. Nobody really ever wants to come see me. And then all of a sudden, like everybody wants to come see me when I'm dying.
They're like, Marlis is out of town. We better check on him, make sure he's still alive.
But yeah. And Marlis was like, yeah, she was kind of surprised. She's like, why don't you guys ever come over when I'm there? So she gets that kind of attitude thing. And I don't know. Whatever. I lived. It's good. It's Monday, right?
Yeah. Yeah. It sounds like you win the most eventful weekend.
Well, isn't that the case though? Like I'm just such an idiot. I was going to say a bad word, but this isn't the shit show, so I can't. All right. So interesting stuff. Let's get to our serious topic. This is the third week in the Women in Security series. It's been a blast so far. What do you think, Brad? Have you enjoyed it?
Yeah, it's been very enlightening, I think, for me.
I learned a lot.
Yeah.
Sure. I keep learning. Feedback keeps rolling in, and so do the guests. I'm excited to hear about Victoria's perspectives because honestly, I don't know if I know much of your perspective. I don't know if we've had a chance to talk about this stuff. We see each other, we talk when the office was open. So I'm really looking forward to the discussion. Thanks again, Victoria, for joining us.
Yeah.
Let's start out with just quick, no, not quick. Take your time. How'd you get started in security?
Oh, isn't it everyone? You have to kind of think about this because it's kind of like, oh, how did I get started? Well, I was
wait to get to be our age.
Well, then I'll have a better answer because then I'll be so used to telling it. Right?
If you can remember.
If I can remember, that's
Right.
true. I just have to do cognitive exercises so I don't lose that. But so basically what happened is I graduated university, got into the insurance industry as an adjuster. That wasn't for me. Saw people were miserable at their jobs. I didn't want to keep coming back to work every day miserable. So I switched industries into sales. Again, I wasn't feeling it. And so I knew I had to find something. And I was doing a lot of research because no one can point you in the way that's going to make you happy. But I knew that you can be happy in what you do. So that drove me into trying to find what that was for myself. And I did that in my late 20s. And so eventually through research for like a year, I came across the tech industry, and then I knew people in tech, but again, they're all guys, which was interesting now that we're talking about this, because anytime I knew anyone in tech, it's a male figure. And no matter at what level, you know, whether that's basic level, they're doing the call troubleshooting, to the top level running the entire program for a company. So I asked them for opinions, and then they said, well, of course, yeah, you can do it. And people were really encouraging. But the one that stuck me, and I was like, oh, maybe I shouldn't do this because it's probably going to be pretty bro culture, is he actually helps hire people into tech positions. They help, I guess they're hedge hunter. What do you call them? And so headhunter. Mm-hmm. So, and I sat down with him and I'm like, you know, the industry, like you see people getting into positions, me having no background at all other than the basics. What do you think my chances are? Because I don't want to waste my time. And then, you know, because I'm self-doubting, who can do this? Because I don't have the background. And women, of course, as I know Lori and other people have highlighted, you want to make sure, do I have all the things in place to be able to do this? Not just like a 3 of them, and then I'll just make it up as I go. Mm-hmm. So I asked him and he goes, well, yeah, you're a woman. You're nice to look at. So of course they'll hire you. And I was like, wait, what? Like not, oh, you'll learn. Oh, you're quick. Don't worry about what you don't know. It was, you're good to look at. People will hire you. And you're fun to talk to.
If that was one of the criteria, I would have never ever. I would have been
insane. Good Lord.
That's insane. Wow. Yeah. So so for a while I was like, well.
So this was kind of your first introduction to a hiring manager in this industry, was that?
Well, it wasn't. It was a friend of mine. It wasn't like I was going out doing a hiring process. But it was a friend of mine who does hire and is the connector to getting people into tech positions. And I was just floored, but I was like, and I kind of brushed it off though, right? Because he's a guy, he's a friend. I'm like, I don't take any offense to it. But when I think back to it, I'm like, that was kind of a D move, you know, thing to say. So, but I kept going, and then I got into school because I thought, okay, education is my way forward, because I don't know how else I'm going to learn this stuff, because I don't know where to start. It's like, you know, I kept asking people, like, how do you get started? What do you do? Do I have to go back to school? Do I have to get another bachelor's? What do I do? And no one could tell me. And it was really, really hard, because you have no one influencing you, have no one to turn to, but yeah, you know, all these people doing it. And it's like when you're trying to cook something or bake something and you go, hey, how do you do that cake real quick? And they go, oh, you know, little here, little there. And it's like, okay, well, okay, if I do it, it's going to taste like salt, you know, like you got to help me out here a little bit. Yeah. So eventually I found direction through my school, and I was going to go back and just get a computer science degree and just start all over. I had no other choice in my head. And luckily the school that I chose was a blessing, because they go, why would you want to go back and get your bachelor's degree since you already have one? I go, well, because I need to. And they're like, no, you don't. You're like, go get your master's. But in the time of your master's, they have this wonderful program set up that you just take 2 or 3 extra computer science classes to really understand the basics. And then you just finish rounding it off with these more master level classes to learn about information security in specifics. And you're done. I was like, oh, easy peasy. Okay. Still having no idea what I was getting myself into. But I was like, information security sounds like a good niche. I'm into investigations. I'm into tech, you know, so let's do this. And then as I got through school, I never saw how they were piecing it together, because they did it so well. But you're like, okay, I'll take this class. Oh, I'm taking this class on encryption. Oh, I'm taking this class on ethics. And they had 2 routes, administrative or technical. Because I have no technical, it scared me. So I didn't go that way. And then when I was coming out of school, then I started getting worried from there, because who's going to hire me now? Because I have no technical. And as Lori, because I listened to the podcast from last week, Lori said, people need to know that there's more to it than tech. And you don't need to know how to code or hack like from a really young age to also get into this. And no one was there to tell me that, even my school. They just said, don't worry, you'll get a job. I was like, okay, well, that doesn't really help me right now, because, you know, I'm coming to the end here. So I don't even know how I stumbled upon it, but through some contacts and stuff, I found you guys and you were willing to give me a shot. But again, until I got with FRSecure, I had not even a single clue, even through all the education I got, that you could go into this industry without hard knocks technical knowledge or skills. Because even people that I was interviewing with or thinking I could get an interview with, and I'm looking through job things, they would have entry positions, but the entry position, they wanted 5 to 10 years experience. Well, how are you going to get that? I mean, it's entry level. So wouldn't that mean, you don't have any experience? But yeah, so it was really, really difficult. And then they all are looking for those technical skills. There is very, 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 very small, I mean, probably less than 1% that I could find 4 years ago that even highlighted saying, hey, technical skills are cool, but we can teach you things or we can bring you up within the company as you come along. So yeah, I mean, it's difficult. And without, I wish I had Lori in my ear 4 years ago saying, hey, you can find a company that will highlight, both administrative background as well as tech. So
selfishly, I'm glad you didn't, because it worked out really, really well for us that you came here.
It worked out very well for me too. So.
I will say that had to be intimidating, because you came in and interviewed with Megan and Lori and myself in succession. Then three of us took you to lunch.
Yeah.
It
was more, the whole time, now that I'm in, I can, discuss what was going through my head. Through the phone conversations, because of the way that they were conducted, I never felt like, why are they interviewing me? Because other places I'm like, why are you interviewing me? I don't have the skills you're looking for. And I'm not going to pretend that I do just to get into the door and then fall on my face, because that doesn't benefit either of us. It's not going to benefit you. It's not going to benefit me. And then we both end up losing out. And I'm going to first time in my life get fired from a job. So let's not do this. But yeah, so when I was doing the phone conversations, I never felt that way with you guys. Like I felt like, oh, like they really understand here where I am at. But no, I can get somewhere else further down the line. So yeah, but then when I had lunch with you guys, I'm like, why am I sitting here? Why, like, is this a joke? Like in the end, am I really going to get this? Because, again, you're self-doubting because you don't have those technical skills you constantly are assuming you need. Because that's, I mean, honestly, growing up, I really thought if you're doing computers, even in security, you have to start young. You have to have a computer or math background. I had neither. And I even had people when I was going through school, I tell them like, I was like kind of excited because it sounds really cool too. Like, oh, I'm going into information security. And they're like, why? Like, you don't know any computers. And I'm like, well, no, but I will. Like, everyone has to learn sometime, right? And they're like, you're almost 30. Like, are you sure this is like, wouldn't you want to go into something more that you're like used to? And it's like, well, no, because I'm not happy. So why would I, so it's also good to know out there that you can switch jobs or careers, industries, and just take those haters and put them out to the side.
That's cool.
Yeah.
It's a lot of good wisdom and a lot of good advice right off the bat. So you were an insurance adjuster and then you were in sales.
Yeah.
And you decided to go back to school. Where did you go back to school? Is that the University of Minnesota?
No, because I couldn't do it remotely. And I was self-supporting. I paid all my bills on my own and I'd have to figure out how to pay school on my own. And so I was like, well, I can't quit my job and my job won't let me work remote. So how am I going to do this financially? And you only get so much money, especially for masters. So I ended up going to Lewis University, and it's a very small university in Illinois, and they have phenomenal online programs. And then what's great about their information security program is, like I said, they worked with me, they saw my history, and they weren't just trying to sell me a degree. They were like, oh, you can actually do this. Just add these few things in.
Mhm.
And we already have that built into our program anyway. So it's nothing beyond normal. And they let me do it all remote. And so it's all built around the CISSP as well, which I didn't know. I didn't even know what the CISSP was until, you guys were like, you have to take it. I'm like, oh, what is this? And then everyone's like, it's the exam of doom, it's this big thing. So,
Which,
but
by the
little
way,
did I know, I was already prepped for it.
you passed on your first try too.
I did, and I cried multiple times, and everyone wondered if someone in my family passed away. But I had my paper to prove that wasn't true.
Yeah.
So,
Well, but you keyed on a really important thing, and that's the intangibles, right? You absolutely 100% have the intangibles, and I'm really happy and proud that Brad and Lori and Megan saw that.
me too.
Yeah, because without that, we can't. You're super intelligent. To go from an insurance adjuster to a salesperson, to have a degree in one thing and then go back. Just to work through this path, really takes some gumption.
Mm.
I think it takes some smarts.
Yeah. I'll tell you now that you what, 2 years now? Yeah,
It's
2.5.
no. It seems like that though, right? We've become so close. No, it's a year and a half. I started January 2019. Yeah.
I knew it was January. I couldn't remember which year. No,
it was a blur.
But I remember getting off that call because I don't remember the order, but I went in and talked to.
It was Peter. I talked to Peter.
Okay.
And then I talked to, I think, Renee or Megan, and at some point you might have been in the middle because I think Renee was the last person.
I think because I remember getting off the call and going and talking to Renee and saying we need to bring her in just to see in person, but unless she's got like 4 heads, we need to hire her. You could tell just with that.
But even if I had 4 heads, I just work behind the mic, right? No one has.
But you could tell, you're clearly sharp. So.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that.
So now what do you do? What do you do today? What's a typical sort of?
What would you say you do here?
Yeah.
What do I do at FRSecure? I attend meetings and I usually assist our analysts and senior analysts because right now I'm an associate analyst. I assist those levels on their vCISO calls, so their virtual CISO. And then I do some background research if something needs to be done just to help with the workload because the research needs to be done, the writing needs to be done, but sometimes because we have so many clients going on and needing to be taken care of, then I can take that workload and then I learn, right? Because then now I'm going to be able to grow even more so because I know what it takes to get into those roles. And then what else do I do? I take care of like Excel sheets.
You send out the news you keep us all up to date on the news.
I do. I try to keep it interesting and find the good stuff beyond all the noise. So yeah news, not noise.
And maybe you can correct me if I'm wrong. The whole point or the hope with that associate role is getting people who have very little experience and then getting to the point where you or the associate can start doing, mappings or these kind of policy projects and coaching projects. And so, have you felt that that's
it's, it's kind of like going through school. You don't see it being pieced together because everyone who's gone before you, they see the importance because either that's not how they learned and they wish they did. So now it's not how I learned, it's what I think and how people should learn following me. But now that, I'm starting to engage more with clients, I'm like thanking my lucky stars that you guys were doing this stuff. And I didn't mind it obviously in the beginning because that makes it sound like I was like, oh man, but no, it was, to me, I was like, what am I doing? I can't believe they are trusting me to put this stuff together. I really hope they look it over. But now that I'm more in client engagements, it's very, very helpful. And I'm very, very happy and pleased with the speed that I'm going that you guys aren't just going, oh yeah, just go ahead. Because then I would doubt you guys probably more as leadership going, well, do you actually care about the work product that our clients get? Because, you want them to get the best that you can get. And right now I'm still learning myself. So, yeah.
So where do you think you want to, so now that you've kind of got your feet wet a little bit and you've seen different things that, that you can do in this industry, and none of us, I mean, even Brad and me, I think combined haven't seen it all, right? I mean, you're always learning new stuff, but do you have an idea of like where you want to go? Do you want to get more into tech, or do you feel like, the vCISO is kind of the thing for you?
I would love to get more into tech, and I know I keep tapping Peter's shoulders, and I'm sure he's like, stop, I get it, I know. And I keep harassing our tech guys because I'm like, hey, what are you guys doing? Can you send me stuff? Can you teach me things? What should I be reading? And I would love to dabble. But again, it's like, there are things that I just don't know how to get the knowledge of without either getting in trouble with the law or breaking a computer that I don't want to break something expensive. I like to keep things nice and neat sometimes. But so how do how do you become that technical savvy without stepping outside the bounds and getting in too much trouble? Because in school, you probably are in a more controlled environment. They have the production and the testing environments, but I just don't have those tools right now. So it's like, eventually I would love to do more tech stuff and learn how to at least have that knowledge. So when people talk about it, I know what is true. I know what is not feasible. And I can't really be BS'd too much. Right now, I'm sure some people could say some stuff and be like, yeah, let me go look that up real quick. Instead of being able to be real and constant with that conversation in real time. So, and now I'm going to go explore PCIP. Nice. So, yeah, because I got my card hacked and I was like, okay, we need to get to know this more and what is happening, because why are people allowing this to happen? Because you're learning like, oh, people really don't have my back when it comes to card holder data. You think they do. And you like to believe, as you've always preached since the day one that I've met you, people need to take care of people. And now that I learned firsthand, I was not taken care of. And why is that? And how do we get people to start doing that, especially with people's finances? The more and more we become more electronic, especially now with COVID. Right. People are more and more wanting electronic payment instead of paper dollars and coins.
Yeah.
So,
yeah. True. Well, I think, and just from my knowing you not really, I mean, I haven't gotten to know you well because I think you just,
I float and I hermit. It's okay.
Well, I do too. I mean, if I'm not, if somebody's not forcing me to come out of my shell, I'm just sitting here. I got other stuff I'd rather do than do meetings,
Yeah,
but
same here. I sit in my cubicle usually by the kitchen, and most of the people are like, oh, I didn't know you were there. I was like, yep, I'm just hanging out, doing my thing.
Who is that person over there? I don't know.
Why are they just sitting there with their hat on in the dark?
Yeah.
Anyway.
Spreadsheets all the time. But but based on what I know, based on what I've heard,
yeah.
I think you have a tremendous future in this industry. I mean, you're just getting started.
Yeah, very much so. And I have to, like in the beginning, especially because you're so used to the rat race, especially in other industries, that you have to go pump the brakes, because if you're going to learn this, you need to learn it right. And you need to carry that forward. You don't want to learn it quick, just like in school where, okay, I'm just going to remember this stuff real quick for the exam and then forget about it. In this industry, especially information security, you learn very quickly. You can't just read and forget just for a moment of time that you need that information. You're going to need to carry this through because other people are going to rely on you to know that information.
Yeah.
So, I'm very happy with the speed, and I definitely think I'll learn more and more as I continue with you guys, especially.
Yeah. I'm excited to see where you're at in 10, 15 years.
Oh my God. It's just like I couldn't even imagine myself here 3 years ago. So it's like.
But that's one of my favorite things in the whole world is watching people grow. You know what I mean? You saw Megan do the same thing, right? I mean, she came here and she didn't have real security experience. She had tech experience and, some. And I mean, holy crap, right?
Oh, you would think she's been doing this for 20 years.
Right.
She's insane. And when I'm like, I would never have thought to ask that. Like,
Yeah.
oh my goodness. Yeah, she's insane.
It's cool.
Why it's so important to hire for those intangibles.
I'm telling you, man, it's never, ever let me down. It's never let us down. We can teach you security. I mean, it's not rocket science. It's a lot of stuff, but
Well, what's so funny is that some people want to make it seem that way. And I still don't understand that, because when I was going through school, it was like, and now that I'm here, I'm like, why did they make it seem like it was so mysterious? And because we're told by people who work for other tech companies who are pretty high up, they're like, oh, you sure you want to do security? It's really hard to get into. Not too many people can, get in there. Maybe you should start by being a help desk worker. I'm like, how can I help desk anything? I was like, I don't even know
right.
I don't even know how to get to, main portals and stuff. So.
Well, yeah, that's one of the ways you can tell somebody who probably isn't in this industry or doesn't know the industry is when they say stuff like that, or they say, or they immediately go to the hacker, right? Immediately go to the tech side when, truly that's not, I mean, it's not even the most significant side.
Yeah.
No.
It's people. People are the biggest risk. People doing the things that they do. If you can figure that out, tech is easy.
And if you look at it and think about it, the tech side is just is a small portion of it, right? Like even within, and I don't say that dismissively, but even within tech, you still have to have all the administrative controls. You still have to have all the procedures and the documentation and all that stuff that people don't, like doing, don't want to do.
Right. Well, and I think it's easier. So you also took I think a more difficult path, or a less common path. You and Lori, actually, and Megan for that matter. I came from the tech world. I grew up, hacking stuff, and then, networking. I loved networking, figuring out how computers communicate with each other. So, I almost take, and I think maybe you're the same way, Brad. Tech is difficult, but I think we take it for granted because we've just been in it for a while. You know what I mean?
Very true.
Because it's all logical, right? It's all right brain stuff. If you can just put your left brain to bed for a while and just do right brain stuff, you'll understand tech a lot better. Right? And then sprinkle in the left brain stuff for the creativity things. Like, how can I make this logical thing do something it wasn't maybe designed to do? But
well, I think it gets overemphasized I can't talk, for information security, right? It's all the hackers, all the tech side that gets talked about. You don't hear about the other 60 or 70% of it.
Well, that's the sexy part, right? Hacking is sexy.
Right.
Writing a policy, seriously, where's the gun? I mean, that's how some people think of it.
Are you saying acceptable use and information classification policies aren't exciting?
Actually, once you understand what they're made for and how they're used properly, they are very exciting.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I mean, for me, because I was the same way when I first started getting into the management side of security, I was like, policies? Seriously? Lame. Let's hire somebody to do that. And then you realize what policies are actually used for and how if you use them right, it's like magic.
Yeah.
Things happen.
It is funny thinking back, coming up, like you really didn't have policies. We had procedures for, how to do backups or how to do DR or all the different jobs, that we had. But there was not an account management policy. We just did it.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and we'll get back. We need to get back to Victoria.
Yeah.
But,
I'm just sitting here shaking my head. I'm like, yeah, policies, fun.
When we were back when I was, I guess, hacking, we didn't call it hacking really. You know what I mean? There's no real such thing as security. We did things and
they didn't really think about security because it wasn't, not everyone had internet access when it first started, and why have to worry about other people getting something that they don't already have,
No.
So unfortunately, we're trying to contain all the snakes in a box now that they're out.
And some of the things that I wish more people getting into tech would understand or learn is the fundamentals, just the basics, right? Oftentimes you get lured away by, running some scripts or the excitement that you get when you own a box, but knowing everything that went into owning that box in terms of, the network protocols, what was being used, what you saw in the packets, all that stuff. So if you're going to get into tech, really focus on those fundamentals, the basics, like how does a network work? How does a computer work? How does it pull something off the wire and how does it all get processed? Get deep into the architecture because that's what we're dealing with, It's all the same, basically. All right. So what advice do you have for somebody who is starting out? So you were already down a career path and then you decided, you know what, I don't like this. I want to do something different. What advice would you have for somebody like you?
Like me? Well, you can start at any time. You just have to find the right people that are willing to support you and give you the right direction, but also do your research. Know what you want to go into. If it's security, I didn't totally know what the security would entail, but I knew as I was taking my classes and I looked at the program, I knew it was something that I would enjoy. So if you're changing for anything, just make sure you have an understanding it is going to be enjoyable, because you're going to be doing this for a little while longer, most likely. And you don't want to be that person that wakes up off the pillow every day and just dread the fact that you have to leave your home or you have to integrate with people that you just find miserable, because that's what my motivating factor was. It's sad that other people had to be in those positions, right. But I saw people who were older than me, because I was in my 20s, and they've been in the career for like 20, 30 years, and they hated coming to work. They hated what they did, and every day they were miserable and just grumpy, and they just couldn't wait for the day to end or the weekend to come or holiday to start or to take time off. And I'm like, that's a long time to, for someone my age, it's going to be 40 years. Do you want to feel that way for 40 years? Yeah. That's miserable for anyone. So just make sure that going into this that you're going to enjoy it, because that's a long time to be in something that you don't enjoy.
Well, it's cool. That's just another intangible. The fact that you were self-aware enough to notice that before. The thing is with security, it's never too late, but, before maybe you're in your 50s, or 60s.
You can enjoy that last run, right? For 5 years or 6 years.
Right.
I don't know, say that you did it. There's people that go into med school, at age of 40.
Yeah.
But yeah.
So do you think there's a shortage? So in your relatively short time in the industry, do you think that there's a shortage of women in our industry?
Yes. And I say that, again, little knowledge compared to everyone else that will be interviewed and that you guys know. But just growing up, anyone I knew doing computers, it's all males. I never came across a female in my schooling. Anytime you ask someone's major, what do they do? Never technical, never security. It was administrative, or they're going to be a teacher, or they're going to go into medical. And I know medical can also have their little pockets of what women typically go into versus what is a quote unquote male dominated position. But so for tech, yeah, and then even during our client interviews and whatnot, I mean, most of the time it's males on the phone, it's males in the room. And if there is a female, they're HR, they're finance, they are maybe a compliance officer, because, females do better at trying to implement the rules. But yeah, the guys who are the CISOs, the tech guys who run the networks and anything of that nature to do with the conversation, it's male. And I think it has to do with, like you said, with your daughters and stuff, you never really pushed the tech stuff on your daughters as much as you did your sons. They were exposed to it, but it was kind of, it wasn't a thing. And I grew up in a very creative family, or my grandma was a nurse. My mom does interior design, construction management. So I had no one to even, really push that. And even in school, I mean, up until, I don't know how many years ago that they started these STEM programs and really trying to emphasize on the females of those schools. But I didn't have that growing up. And if we had a computer class, we had to sit there and find things on the internet and do little program. We never programmed, we never coded, we never learned how the computer worked. And, guys my age, they were doing it on their own on the side, playing video games, and girls were doing other things. And the emphasis of the classes that we were supposed to take, girls would go off and do family learning on how to raise a family and how to have babies. And I'm just like, what are you doing? So I took art class, so some people are driven towards certain things, and that's fine. But just giving those females the knowledge, you can do this. Right. You don't have to be cycloned into only certain areas. And I think we're getting better at that. But I think more could be done, not just going, yeah, when someone asks you, can I go into this industry? Well, yeah, you're good to look at. You have no problems. You know what I mean? Things of that nature, that needs to change.
Yeah, I can't even relate to that because nobody's ever said that to me.
Right.
Well, no, they wouldn't, right? Because you're a guy. So they're going to emphasize on your intellectual talents.
My beard.
Your beard. I mean, that alone, I'm sure it has its own following.
Oh, so. Yes, it does. It's under here.
It's under there, yeah. So, you know what I mean? It's changing also that mindset of, women can do this. And I know some women also have to take into account, can I do family and career at the same time? And if you think of certain tech roles, sometimes they can be very, very daunting with the time requirements. So maybe that also stems people away, but it's, there's other areas of tech that you can go into that nobody talks about that can actually also be family friendly. Yeah, there's just, it's layered, right? It's not just one thing on why. It is a bunch of little things that add up to the reason why.
Yeah. Well, and Lori, 35 years in the industry, and she raised 4 kids.
Exactly. Yeah. But people don't talk about that, right? Because how many women are in those positions that can say, I did it and you can do it too. Granted, you need a support system of some sort, but it can be done. And just making people aware of that.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I think that's exactly right. It can be done. There is so much to do in this industry, and there's so many different skills that are required in this industry. There is literally space for everybody.
Yeah.
Everybody, and you can do it. You absolutely can do it. Holy crap. If people really knew how much of a mess up I am, holy crap, right? So.
Well, don't give too much away,
No, right? Yeah, nobody's going to follow me anymore because they find out who the real me is.
It's okay. You got the beard, though. They'll follow that.
Right. Well, and that's one of the things I think that makes that's good in our culture too is the transparency. You guys do know the real me. Mm-hmm. There's nothing to hide, and I think that's one of the things that really helps. When you mentor other people. I mean, you're sharing the real you, right? So somebody
Yep.
listening, hopefully, is inspired by what you said and says, well, if Victoria can do it, I can do it too.
Well, and just also understanding that, like you said earlier, if people are saying certain things that sound intimidating to be able to get into the industry or move in different realms of the industry or move ahead in the industry, like knowing, hey, I could be a manager. Hey, I could be a CISO. Hey, I could do my own consulting. Those intimidating tactics, you gotta, I mean, it takes a lot. You have to be pretty strong, or you need the right people around you saying the other, going, don't listen to that. Because it's very easy to get wrapped up into that intimidation conversation of, well, that's a lot. You don't know, can you handle it? That's really hard to get into. You don't have this, you don't have that. That can be overwhelming, especially with women, because then they think, well, am I the right person for this? I'm sure guys do it too, but I don't know. But I know a lot of guys that I go, can you do that? Well, sure, it can't be that hard, and then they try it out. Where women go, can I do that? Do I have the skills? Like, they question it a whole different way before trying to do something, because they want to make sure that they're not going to let other people down and that they're going to be the best that they can be, and they're going to fulfill the role in which is being asked. Whereas, like, I think, people are like, hey, I got 50%. Why not try it out?
Well, and that's one of the cool things. And I think you keyed in on the reason why I'm very passionate about more women in our industry is because of the different perspectives, the different approaches, right? If we had this all figured out in one approach, then great. We don't need the diversity of other perspectives. Diversity, the word itself has kind of been, I think, stolen for what it really is. And it's bunches of different ways of looking at things, of doing things from different angles, right? So it's not just women. We do have minority issues in our industry.
Yeah.
And it's not because they're minority. It's because of the perspective. You know what I mean? People are people, right? I mean, so, but I love the fact that you brought that, you gave a really good analogy to how women approach, or, in Europe, how women approach things, now men approach things.
Well, I mean, there's been times, Victoria's helping me on a couple of the vCISOs that I keep, and she'll ask questions and for clarification, and I'm like, how did you get to that? Like, it's a great question. I never would have thought of that, right? And same thing with Lori or Megan, but it makes everyone better when you get people looking at things from those different angles. And also, it's great that you could feel like you can ask those questions.
Well, I think a lot of times the people that get intimidated probably feel really teeny inside. Mm-hmm. It's one of their defense mechanisms, right? If you felt comfortable with who you are, felt comfortable with the position that you're in and whatever, and the things you know and the things you don't know, then you'd be more welcoming of other people, right?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
If I felt like you were going to take my job, or I felt like you might be better at my job, rather than me working to be better me, I'm going to put you down. I'm going to intimidate you.
Mm-hmm. I don't get that. Though, isn't the whole point of leading to get somebody ready to move up and continue growing?
Well, see, there is a difference between leadership and management, and some people have their own agenda when they get in their mind to a certain point, but they don't want someone to overtake them, because they work so hard to get there and they're insecure about someone maybe doing better than they are. But it's like, of course there is somebody that's doing better than you are, because there are people that are always going to be smarter than you. But why not encourage that? Right. My husband has a quote. He goes, only the weakest have to show acts of strength. Yeah. And so he tells me that when I have a moment of going, what WTF was that about? Why did that person have to act that way? Or why did they have to be in that manner or say those things? And then he'll just have wise quotes like that. Like, okay, let's just move on.
You said sweet Australian accent too.
Yeah, that helps, doesn't it? Yeah.
What? He has an. I've never met your husband.
You haven't?
No.
Oh, that's right. You weren't at the picnic.
Uh,
Oh, well, he's sleeping right now, so you can't talk to him.
Next podcast, we'll go wake him up.
Oh, he would love to chat. He's a chatter.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Well, thank you, Victoria. We need to move on, but
Yeah.
a couple of things. I feel like I know you more, which is awesome because I love to get to know the people I work with and work for and, all that stuff. So that's really cool. And two, I think you shared some really, really cool perspectives. This is going to be I don't normally listen to our podcast because I hate hearing my voice, but maybe if I send this to an editor, they can edit out my voice and then I can just listen to some of the advice you gave because it was sage, some good wisdom.
mhm.
Well, thank you.
All right. And I'm sure our listeners got some good things. I'm really hoping that it's encouraging for somebody who was in a similar situation, who can relate, because we need more people in our industry, period. And we need more women in our industry.
Absolutely. Well, and it's also, the last thing to wrap this up is just making sure people know that there are ways to access these positions and these roles in the industry, not thinking that, oh, there's a big wall up and I can't get in.
Right.
So.
Yeah.
Absolutely. All right. Time for newsy things again. My God, there's no shortage of news everywhere. It's everywhere. We could use an entire day to cover it all, but we're not because we have day jobs too, I think. So three caught my eye. One is a story from SiliconANGLE. And the title is 269 gigabytes of data stolen from U.S. police departments, published after BlueLeaks hack.
Yeah, I saw that one.
Ugh. I have so many things I want to say, and I have so many things that I'm holding myself back from saying.
Is anything appropriate that you could say?
That's probably more of the Thursday night show.
Yeah. Well, I'm angry at the fact that I'll give you an example. Like yesterday, there was a tweet, and it was a tweet from somebody there was a teacher, and their neighbor said, I hope you're teaching, the kids kindness. They were just having a conversation, and the teacher came, fired back, I'm teaching them about social justice. And then he said in this tweet that, and now they don't talk to him anymore. And then LOL, like it's funny. I'm like, what the hell is funny about that? There's nothing funny about, us versus them, this crap that we're doing all the time. So I know that there's a lot of people out there that are anti-police, a lot of people that are pro-police, but why is it always us versus them and all this other crap? So there's this undercurrent of this crap going on. Yeah. And you have 269 gigabytes of data that's stolen. And would you want your data stolen if somebody disagreed with you and then published?
And I think the bigger concern, obviously no, you don't want that, but that it's potentially putting innocent people at risk, right? Like it says, there's, if it's got witness information that should be confidential, those people are now at risk. And they didn't do anything they're helping.
Right. BlueLeaks. So we got to give every cool hack a name. So we'll call this one BlueLeaks. A group calling itself Distributed Denial of Secrets. Aren't you cool? Distributed Denial of Secrets. Ooh. Spooky.
Pretty creative. They went out of the box on that one.
Right. And so they didn't say where they found the data, did they? But I'm sure they probably found it in an unsecured container.
Yeah, right.
So it was like they stumbled on it, and now they're the Distributed Denial of Secrets. Anyway. So yeah, it's real sensitive data. I mean, names, addresses, email addresses, dates of birth, bank account details, images of suspects, and more. All right. Well, it's that. I don't know. I'm not going to say much more about it. Do you guys have anything to add?
No.
It's all quiet. Evan's pissed off now.
Evan's ranting again. Just let him get it out.
I don't want to talk when Evan's mad. I just don't want to talk. No, you guys aren't that kind of people. The second one is from Threat Post. Nationwide facial recognition ban proposed by lawmakers.
Yeah.
I think that's probably not a bad idea. We've seen issues with facial recognition, and
absolutely
false positives are probably way higher than they need to be.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to see where this one goes. So this is
well, because doesn't facial recognition, depending on the tone of your skin, maybe even what ethnicity you are, or it actually goes against you, or it doesn't work at all because it's not programmed except for basically a white man's face.
From what I've read, it definitely is biased against minorities.
Yeah. So why would you want that kind of technology out there, especially for legal or
in every
government purposes?
A bigger point too, like every bit of software ever developed by anybody is biased.
Mm-hmm.
So if this software would have been developed by minorities, it might have been biased the other way. There's always bias in software development that people don't really recognize. That's one thing. And the second thing is there's huge privacy issues.
Mm-hmm.
Go to China sometime and see if you have any privacy whatsoever. Look at the number of cameras that they have hanging on every bridge.
I find it very enjoyable because I know some Americans that have gone to China within the past year, and I have conversations with them on it, and they really believe that their stuff is kept, secret. They're like, yeah, they looked at my phone, but, I got to keep it. I'm like, I was like, okay, your stuff isn't private. Like, let's be real.
Right.
But they really believe that, no one outside of the U.S. is going to do anything that the U.S. doesn't do. And it's like, okay, well, that's naive. Yeah.
So the Facial Recognition and Biometric Technology Moratorium Act, what would that be? FRBTMA? You got to come up with a better name. But anyway, Senators Ed Markey, Jeff Merkley, Pramila Jayapal, and Ayanna Presley.
Where are they from? Who do they represent?
Massachusetts, Oregon, and Washington.
Okay.
All Democrats. But I like that. I hope we get some bipartisan support, because I'd like to have some specific rules around the use of facial recognition for all kinds of purposes, right? What are the rules for this?
Yeah. Well, that's the thing, right? It's just like, hey, let's do it with no guidelines or guardrails or anything.
Yeah, and I hope they don't try to get the perfect law out of the gate. Just get a law passed, and we can amend it later, right? And refine it and make it better. But there absolutely needs to be something here.
Yep.
But we still don't have a nationwide privacy law, or a breach notification law. So I don't know. Security is a lot of work, you guys. GB Hackers on Security is my last one. New ransomware attacks. Android devices encrypts photos and videos posing as COVID-19 tracing app.
Yeah, that's in Canada, right? Is that the Canada one? Mm-hmm. Canada?
Yeah, we're in Minnesota. We protect the rest of the United States from Canada.
Yeah.
I always tell people, you're welcome. We do that. Yeah, what do you think about this one, Brad? You're an Android user.
Yeah, I don't know. You got to be careful. Just.
Are you just so used to Android having so many problems, you're just immune to being shocked?
It's doing the simple stuff, like put some sort of a malware of a good, well-respected, malware agent on your phone. It scanned it. It does a good job. It just looking at what.
You have to remind yourself, though, what you say is basic.
I know.
It's not always.
Not that.
Do the basics. Yeah, I know.
We're trying to educate everyone, aren't we? At least anyone who's listening to this, which probably are all in security. But.
Well, how about do a little research first?
Right.
True.
You know, if you did a little research into the applications that you install on your phone, like my phone, I have an iPhone. I have way more applications than I need. But you know, at least you do some research before you install the application, even though the Apple Store is much more an enclosed or closed ecosystem.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I don't know. What would you do if you're, so this is called, what's the name of the malware called? It's called TriDroid.
I mean, you see, yeah, I don't know. It's the same as any other operating system. You see the iOS got rooted, you get Microsoft issues. Like, just don't just go installing everything and saying like, hey, why does this COVID-19 tracing app need full access to everything on my phone, right? Like, I've definitely looked at apps and thought, oh, that looks okay. Didn't look at the permissions, and I'm like, wait a minute, no.
Right. Well, how about a moment of weakness, right? You're busy, or, you know, or maybe, you know, a family member. I mean, you've got your photos and videos encrypted. So one of the things, you know, obviously the prevention side of things, but backing that stuff up is probably a good idea.
Yeah.
Right. Because there are some photos I really, really dig, you know, of my family and vacations, things like that. Thankfully, you know, we're all social media junkies now, it seems like. So, you know, I probably got most of those photos
Somewhere.
on Facebook or something somewhere too. Who knows? All right. You guys have anything else to add on that one?
No.
All
Just
right.
be careful.
All right, there you have it. Episode 86 is almost in the books, just wrapping up. Shout outs before we go. Victoria, thank you again for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
Also, thank you for sharing your stories, your thoughts, your advice. You're going to enjoy next week's guest too. We're going to go outside of FRSecure for the first time in this series and talk to somebody. Brad, I don't even think you know who it is because it's your show next week. I should tell you.
Yeah, just wing it.
Yeah, that's what we do. Perspectives. So beyond these four walls, that's going to also be a great show. This is a CEO of an information security related nonprofit. So this is, I think, a little less experienced than Lori, but more well-known probably. You know, Lori purposely isn't, you know, she keeps herself kind of not well-known. So this will be a good one next week. Either of you have any shout outs for anybody?
I don't.
No?
No.
All right. Brad?
Gosh, you know what? I'm trying to total blank. I'm trying to think. Everything.
Family?
I've had like a 3-day
Dog.
week.
I was going to say, this is what happens when you have a 3-day
I
weekend.
had a 3-day weekend. I don't even remember last week at this point.
Yeah. I'm going to give a shout out for Tony for coming over on Saturday. Tony Allsleven showed up. It helped break me out of my funk. We went on a motorcycle ride, got some dinner. It was good. So shout out to Tony for being a good friend. All right. Thank you, listeners. You guys are mostly pretty cool. There's 3 of you listeners that I don't like very much, but I'm not going to tell you which 3 it is. Send your questions and feedback, suggestions, whatever, to email at unsecurity@protonmail.com. We still need to talk about the whole Mandiant Capital One incident response thing, Brad.
Yeah.
We'll take it up next week or not. Maybe we could do that instead of news, but, you know, we'll see. Because that's got some implications.
There's a lot of interesting things on that.
Yeah. Online social media, people can follow us on Twitter. I'm at Evan Francine. Brad's at Brad Nye. Victoria, do you do Twittering?
I don't.
Okay.
I've kept myself off of most of the platforms.
So you can follow Victoria at I don't do Twitter. Is that your handle?
Perfect. That can be. And whoever does have that handle will get some interesting messages, I'm sure.
Yeah, right. All right. And the companies we work for are pretty cool too. Security Studios, Twitter is at Studio Security, and FRSecure is at FRSecure. That's it. We'll talk to you next week. Thanks again.